G'day everybody and welcome to my Aussie Garden Kitchen. If it's your first time here, my name's Darren, but please call me Daz. And we're about to go have a look at the second part of my garden. After showing the first part in the previous video, I thought that I'd split it into two parts because it's just going to take too long. So if you don't mind sticking around, let's check out the rest of it. Okay, so here we are with the majority of my vegetable garden beds. So as you'll see behind me, I've got a whole bunch of garden beds and I've got them covered up because I have chickens at free range in my yard. Now, I love having my chickens out into the yard, doing what they want to do, having the freedom to do so, and they're good pest control as well. But unfortunately, they see the garden beds here as an all-you-can-eat smorgasbord, so I don't need that happening. So the compromise in having the chickens in the yard is to cover them up, and it works quite well. The sunlight still gets into the veggies, they get to grow, and yeah, it's a good combination. It works really well for me. So this is my main brassica bed. So in here I've just got broccoli and cauliflower. I think I've got a random cabbage in there somewhere. I'm not sure which one it is because I mixed up all my seedlings and mixed up all the labels, and in the end I just went, you know what, I'll just stick them in the ground, and when they grow, and I'll know what they are when they get mature. I've also got a random little watermelon that grew from, I don't know, it must have been a volunteer seed, and that watermelon spread out and it's gone up the wire, and I've even got a watermelon that's growing up in the pot up above, so that's pretty cool. The sugarcane mulch should really keep down the weeds, and also it's going to keep in the moisture and then break down and become organic matter, and that's good for the soil. And then I've also got some bunny poops in there as well. So hopefully that bunny poop's going to do its job and really give them some nice nutrients and help feed the soil and everything. So hopefully I'm going to have some very nice broccoli and collie growing in this one very soon. And this bed backs onto my alfresco outdoor area. So yeah, it's pretty cool. If I want to, I can lean over and pick a few chilies and jalapenos. I've still got a bunch of jalapenos growing at the moment, actually, which is really good. I'm really enjoying them this year. I've cooked them in so many different ways. It's been fantastic. If you check out my previous video, you'll see more about my growing area in here. And you can see the chili peppers. I've got so many chilies. So that's just more of them there that you can see. Currently black, but they'll turn red. Just here on the edge of my entertaining area where I'm growing everything, I've got a container here that I keep topped up with water, and it's got the stones in it so the bees and pollinators can land safely and have a drink and not drown. Very important. And I've got my bird feeder here, and it's just fantastic because I get so many native Australian birds here that come in and feed and have a drink, and it's just amazing to sit inside and just watch the bird life. It's incredible, and I'm so lucky. And I've been able to capture some of them on video and share it with everyone on my channel. In this garden bed here, I've got sweet potatoes. I've got some Savoy cabbages that I planted a couple of months ago. And I've also got some of the seedlings left over from the broccoli and collie in the back corner. And there's green onions, or spring onions as we say here in Australia. And I've left a bit of a space in the corner there where I'm going to put some celery. But these spring onions, these sweet potatoes, I'm really not sure about them. They were just something that grew in the greenhouse and I forgot about them, and I thought, you know what, let's put them in the ground and see how it goes. But the weather's getting cold, so I'm not sure how they're going to go with this cold weather. But I'm just going to let them run out while I've got the space and see what they do. The Savoy cabbages, unfortunately, the mice ate all the seedlings from this batch that was here, and this is what survived. So hopefully I'll get a few cabbages out of this before the next ones grow later in the season. Okay, so if you've seen my other videos previously, you'll know that I like to grow onions, a lot of onions. And these two beds here and these two tubs on the end are onions and garlic. So the two tubs here, pots, containers, whatever you want to call them, they've got garlic. There's about 15 garlic in each. And then this bed here is all red onions. Then this bed here, the darker section to halfway is garlic, and then there's brown onions in the end of that. And then if I move over to this other bed, I've got more brown onions growing in this bed here. All brown onions. Then I come across to my teepee for my peas. I've got shelling peas growing at the base of the teepee, all the different bits of wood coming up there. And I've actually got garlic in here. garlic that was, I don't know, I guess it was volunteer garlic from one of the other garden beds. So I just dug them up and I've moved them and put them here for now. So we'll see how we go. And also I've got volunteer carrots just in here in this corner. I let them go to seed last year and I gave them a bit of a shake and just let them do their own thing. And yeah, we'll see how I go and see what sort of carrots I get out of this batch this year. This is one end of my lasagna bed, and last year I grew red onions in here, and I'm doing it again. Yes, I know you're not supposed to plant the same thing in the same spot, as some people say, but anyway, I've got more red onions in here, and there's some volunteer potatoes that came up just recently, so I'm just going to let them have a go and see what works. But going into winter, I'm going to have to cover them and try to protect them. But with the onions, I think this batch here takes me up to about 300 or so onions that I've got planted this season. We like our onions here. All right, so I clearly need to get some weeding happening here. I'm just losing touch with some of this stuff. Anyway, right here, we've got a macadamia, my beautiful macadamia, which needs to come out of the grow bag and into the ground soon. Then I've got a lemon over here. It's doing okay. I've kind of espaliated it along the fence and it's doing okay. I really need to move that bird bath. Then I've got a dwarf mulberry here in a pot, which needs to go into the ground. Then we've got my mother plant here of all my thornless blackberries. I need to get in there and get rid of all the canes that fruited because they're no good anymore. And of course, prune out that grass. Beside that, I've got another dwarf mulberry, which is actually in the ground and really needs to have all that grass pulled away. And this, like all the other mulberries, need to be pruned. Another dwarf mulberry in a pot, which has to go into the ground soon. And of course, that needs to be pruned as well. Then I've got my old passion fruit here, which is not doing too well. Unfortunately, the dog jumped the fence and she got into the pot and dug right down to the base of the pot and just about destroyed this thing. So I've re-topped it up with organic compost and I've been feeding it and watering it and looking after it, and there's signs of good growth, but as you can see, it's not done very well since it got attacked by the dog. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. There is hope. This is another mulberry. Now I'm not sure whether this was a dwarf or a standard. I bought this separately in a sale a long time ago and it's absolutely thriving in the ground here. And that's due to get a good prune. And just here, you can see I've got a hole that I'm preparing, and that's either going to take an avocado or it's going to take another mulberry. Not sure yet. Possibly a macadamia. I'm really undecided. My 3 raised garden beds of raspberries, they're all coming to the end of the season now, so they're not looking that flash. I've done quite well though. I've got quite a lot of berries off them, so I cannot complain at all about that. I'm still getting fruit here and there, which is good. So if you look just down here beside me, I've got a really nice crop of volunteer potatoes happening. And I was just looking at the leaves and it looks like there's a couple of different varieties. So I did a potato experiment here behind the raspberries about a year, say a year ago. And that was very average. That was using really bad rotten potatoes and it didn't do very well at all when I harvested them. But now, I don't know what's going on. I must have missed a few because as you can see, I've got quite a few growing here. So yeah, they're looking quite healthy. So I'll clean this area up, maybe get some mulch happening around here and yeah, just look after these and see what I get out of it. I need to start to work on my compost. As you can see, this bay here is empty. There's a little bit in the corner, but I'm talking about like a shovel or two. That's it. So I really need to get a new bay of compost started in this one. And then this one here is one that I've had working for a while. That's looking pretty good. It's nice and moist. It's very dark. It smells nice. It doesn't smell all slimy and grassy and all the, you know, the bad things that you don't want. So this one should be good. I would say probably in my spring into summer, this is going to be absolutely prime stuff. Cannot wait to get this mixed and onto the garden beds later in the year. If you don't yet compost, I really do recommend that you give it a go. Have a look at some videos online and read up on it because it is quite a simple process really when you look into it, and the rewards are just fantastic. It's just incredible to get that beautiful organic matter onto your garden beds, and especially these days with a lot of us watching our money and prices are going up all over the place, and you don't want to be going and buying compost from places and spending your money on that, and also you quite possibly don't know what's in those compost mixes. Whereas if you make your own at home, you know what's gone into it, and it's just a great feeling to have something that you've created yourself and your garden benefits from it. Just here on the edge of my entertaining area, I've got the avocado tree. It's a Hass avocado, which is a type A, and it's doing pretty well. I'm keeping it in our pots because I want to be able to move it around, especially now, as I've said a few times, now that I'm going into winter. I'm actually going to move this, and the advantage of having them in pots like this is that you can have them mobile for when maybe the sun's too harsh in a particular part of the yard in one season, or frosts come and you can get them moved into a safe area. So yeah, this guy here will probably get moved in the next few weeks, maybe into some covered area in the alfresco if I can find some room. But I still want it to get a little bit of sun, so I need to be a little bit strategic there. Not sure what my plans are, but I am thinking that I might move some of my favorite jalapeno and chili plants into the greenhouse over winter and the start of spring, just to get that really cold frost off them that I do get here. Is a big potato crop. Look at that massive grass and who knows what. But yeah, they've all died down. You might be able to see just there in that one there that I do have some potato leaves popping up, hanging around. So yeah, I do have potatoes that I really need to get out of these tubs. So looking forward to that tomorrow. Something I rarely talk about are our olives. If you look just to the side of the screen here, you'll see olive trees. Lots of olive trees, lots of olives. So we've got a whole line of olives here. Unfortunately, we don't eat them. So what I've been planning on doing is actually getting an olive press and making olive oil. Because as you can see, I'm still walking and there's still olive trees and lots of olives. And at the moment, they're all over the ground and they're just a waste on the ground. Now you may be asking, why have I got so many olives? Well, they were actually planted on our property by a neighbour before we bought this land and moved here. And we're quite happy to keep them here because they're great along the driveway. And I did intend to buy an olive press and make olive oil eventually, but I still haven't got around to it. So hopefully this time next year, when I do a video possibly like this next year, I'll be talking about my olive press and how I'm making olives from my own trees here. I've got an orchard and a whole bunch of stuff growing here in my entertaining area. So if you click on this video on screen right now, you'll see part 1 of this video, and that'll give you a tour and an idea of what's going on over in the orchard and a few other places in the rest of my yard. Thanks very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.